My name is Alex, and my life has always flowed in a fairly predictable direction. Every morning I woke up, had breakfast, kissed my wife Laura, and went to work at the office. My position as a sales manager was stable, albeit not particularly exciting. The days were filled with routine calls, meetings, and reports. After work I would return home, Laura and I would have dinner, discussing the day, and then each of us would go about our own business or watch TV together. On weekends, we would go shopping, to the movies, or visit our parents. In general, nothing unusual. But one day, our familiar routine was about to change slightly. Laura, her mother Jennifer, and I decided to participate in a charity run. This event was held annually and raised money for the treatment of children with serious illnesses. Laura became enthusiastic about this idea when she saw an advertisement for the run on a website. She had always been sensitive to other people's problems and tried to help as much as she could. And the thought of getting a little exercise, running in the fresh air, seemed tempting. "Imagine, honey, we'll not only do a good deed, but also get in shape," she said enthusiastically as we discussed this idea over dinner. "Mom will also be glad to get some exercise, as she's been sitting at home too much." I nodded in agreement, although to be honest, I didn't feel particularly enthusiastic. Running had never been my strong suit, and charity seemed like something distant. But arguing with Laura when she was so passionate about an idea was useless. The very next day, we called Jennifer and invited her to join us. My mother-in-law readily agreed, only saying, "Oh, I hope my old bones can handle such a load, but for a good cause, I'm willing to take the risk." Having decided on a date, we began to prepare little by little. We developed a training schedule, studied recommendations on nutrition and equipment. Laura even went shopping for the right sneakers and sportswear. For my part, I didn't show much zeal. I went for a couple of runs in the park with my wife, listened to advice from more experienced runners. But deep down, I thought that I could somehow manage a few kilometers. It's not like I'm running a marathon. The run was supposed to take place in a month. Laura and I made plans for how great it would be to spend this day with the whole family, how we would cheer each other on along the way. I was already anticipating how after the finish line we would hug, happy and sweaty, and go for a well-deserved beer. But as you know, life loves to throw surprises, especially when you least expect them, and our case was no exception. A week before the run, Laura sprained her ankle. Stupidly, on level ground. She tripped over a threshold and landed awkwardly. Suspicion of ligament strain, strict bed rest, and no physical exertion. My poor wife was beside herself with disappointment. She had been looking forward to this event so much, had prepared so much, and then bang, a silly accident crossed it all out. You and Mom will have to run without me," she said sadly, lying on the couch with her leg bandaged. "No use wasting the registration fee. And the preparation again." I couldn't find anything to say in response. I just stroked her hand and promised that Jennifer and I would still participate. After all, I couldn't just take it and refuse too. Although I must admit, now the prospect of spending the day alone with my mother-in-law made me a little tense. Yes, Jennifer and I had always gotten along. We communicated amiably, exchanged pleasantries. But to tell the truth, we had never been particularly close, just relatives and nothing more. And now we had to run a few kilometers together, without the buffer of Laura, and somehow keep up a conversation or something. Such a sudden necessity for socialization. Oh well, I decided, we'll manage somehow. After all, they're not sending me to row in a swamp with my mother-in-law. We'll run, and that's the end of it. If only I had known then what this running adventure would turn into. I certainly wouldn't have made such careless plans. However, life is a tricky thing. You never know where fortune will fall, and where. A weight around your neck. On the day we learned about Laura's injury, the first thing I did was call Jennifer. We needed to discuss what we would do with the run and training, if we would even participate in it after this. "Of course we'll run," my mother-in-law declared firmly, before I could even explain the situation. "What, are we going to throw our work down the drain? And the money has been paid too. No, we're not going to give up over such a trifle." I chuckled to myself. Now that's the spirit. And she also said, "Old bones," shaking her all up. "Yes, this woman, it seems, will give many young people a head start, even at 60. "Okay, If you're so sure, then we'll run, I agreed. Only now we'll have to train together. Laura won't be able to support us, you understand? What's the big deal? Jennifer was surprised. You think I can't keep you company on a run? Of course I can. And we'll get to know each other better at the same time, because it's always on holidays and holidays. I was a little taken aback by her pressure. It's not that I didn't like the idea of getting to know my mother-in-law better, but damn, it's my mother-in-law, a son-in-law and a mother-in-law running together in the park. That's quite a picture. They'll think something else, God forbid. But it was too late to back out. If we decided, then we decided. Especially since Laura was so happy when she found out that we would still run. "Oh, thank you," she sniffled, getting sentimental. "I was so afraid you'd refuse without me. And this is such an important event. So many people are going to help sick children." Then followed sentimental sighs and sobs, which I prudently ignored. In the end, I promised, so I'll do it. I may not be much of a running partner, but I know how to keep my word. So it was settled. The run was in a week. Jennifer and I would prepare well during this time, so as not to let ourselves down and show, so to speak, class. And at the same time, not to embarrass ourselves in front of each other, also an important matter. We scheduled our first joint run for the next morning. I, like a true gentleman, volunteered to pick up my mother-in-law and take her to the park. After all, it's not right for a lady of her age to be shaken up in public transport. At exactly 8 a.m., I was standing at Jennifer's doorstep, dressed in a tracksuit and sneakers. With a slight anxiety, I glanced at my watch. Had she changed her mind, overslept? It would be a shame to put on this running ammunition for nothing. But my mother-in-law did not disappoint. At the appointed hour, she fluttered out the door, slender, fit, in a bright blue suit, and shining like a polished penny. I couldn't help but whistle to myself. No more, no less. A professional runner at the start. "Well, Alex, ready to conquer the sports Olympus?" she cheerfully inquired, easily jumping into the car. "Always ready," I reported, starting the engine. "I only hope that your sports Olympus is not too high. I haven't climbed it yet. I'm not used to it." Jennifer laughed merrily, and I felt the tension ease a little. Why actually shake like an aspen leaf? "Well, mother-in-law, well, we'll run together. What's the big deal? Think about it. A big deal. Oh, if I had known then how it would turn out. This big deal. Who knows? Maybe I would have immediately stepped on the gas and raced away. And from there, it's not far to Mexico. I would have changed my name, grown a mustache, mastered the profession of a potter. Hey, what am I talking about? Business time, as they say, fun hour. So, I'll tell you what happened next on this ill-fated run. Although, hand on heart, there will be little good in that story. So listen, and don't say later that I didn't warn you. Our first run with Jennifer turned out to be peculiar. I thought we would just jog leisurely without straining ourselves. Well, maybe slightly accelerate at the finish line for the sake of pride. No way. As soon as we got on the track, my mother-in-law took off like a greyhound that had scented prey. Only her heels sparkled. I was stunned by such pressure, but there was nothing to be done. I had to catch up. The first couple of kilometers were not easy for me. Jennifer was rushing forward like a moose without slowing down, and I was jumping after her, panting and sweating. I wanted to slow down a couple of times, but stubbornness wouldn't let me. No way, I'm not going to give in to some mother-in-law. She may have run marathons, but I'm not made of straw either. So we raced through the park, scaring away the rare morning dog walkers and Nordic walking enthusiasts. I tried not to fall behind, although my side was already hurting and my throat was dry. Damn pride, when will you lead me to good? But then Jennifer unexpectedly slowed down and turned to me with a smile. "Well, are you tired, athlete? Let's take a break. Sit on a bench." I felt relieved. Thank God she suggested it herself. Otherwise, I was afraid I'd have to shamefully ask for a rest. We sat down on the nearest bench and took a breath together. Jennifer took a bottle of water out of her bag and handed it to me. "Do you want some? I see you're quite exhausted." "You bet," I grunted, gratefully accepting the water. "You're the Olympic champion here, and I'm just an amateur. I could barely keep up with you." My mother-in-law smiled condescendingly. "It's okay, you'll get used to it. When I started running, I also thought, that's it, my heart is about to jump out. And now look, even if you run to New York, I won't get out of breath." "You mean you were into running?" I was surprised. I don't remember Laura telling me about her mom's athletic past. Of course, Jennifer winked. 5 years ago when my husband, may he rest in peace, died of cancer, I thought I'd go crazy with grief. I didn't want anything. Life seemed to stop. So I started running in the morning, just to distract myself somehow, to come to my senses. And I got so hooked that now I can't do without it. I looked at my mother-in-law with respect. What a strong woman. Another would have broken down, given up after such a blow of fate. But this one, nothing, found the strength to live on. And not just live, but with a spark, with enthusiasm. We sat a little longer, talking leisurely. Jennifer told me about her favorite running routes, about how to breathe properly and place the foot. I listened, nodded, and mentally noted that my mother-in-law, it turns out, is wow. Not just a housewife and grandmother, but a unique personality with a rich inner world. "Well, shall we run further?" she finally asked, getting up from the bench. I jumped up readily. After the break, my strength seemed to be restored, and it wasn't so scary to embarrass myself in front of Jennifer. Now I knew that she wasn't an iron lady, but an ordinary person, with her own pain, her own ways of overcoming it. Then we ran slower at a comfortable pace. Jennifer kept turning around to me with an encouraging smile. "Come on, you can do it." And you know what? I really could. Hardly from her smiles, rather from the realization that my mother-in-law believed in me. A trifle, but nice. And so it went. Every morning we would meet and run together, racking up kilometers in the park. And each time it became easier and more fun or something. No longer did we just want to do our number, just to get to the finish line. No, now the runs turned into a real adventure. With jokes, unobtrusive advice from Guru Jennifer, and heart-to-heart conversations. I didn't even notice how I started sharing all sorts of personal things with my mother-in-law. I told her about my difficult relationship with my father, about the fears and doubts that sometimes plagued me, about how I once almost left Laura. I was so tired of everything in our family life, and my mother-in-law did not condemn me. She listened attentively, nodded, sometimes inserting apt remarks. And then suddenly she also began to open up, about the loneliness that sometimes rolls over, about how she misses her husband and how hard it is to be strong for her daughter when she herself is ready to burst into tears of longing. Lord, I had no idea she could have so much pain inside. She seems to be smiling and joking, but if you look closely, how much is hidden there, it turns out? How much is left unspoken, uncried? And the more she opened up, the more I wanted to support her, to say something necessary, encouraging, to give her a big hug after all, to show that she is not alone, that I understand and accept her with all the secret corners of her soul. Stop. What am I talking about? Hug my mother-in-law? Some comforter you are. You were only sent for this, to put your hands on. Get away from sin. That's how I mentally scolded myself every time I caught myself wanting to touch Jennifer, to put my arm around her shoulders, to tuck a stray strand of hair behind her ear. Some nonsense. I've never done that before. Why suddenly drawn to tenderness, and to my mother-in-law no less? And the answer, I think, was simple. Jennifer had become more to me than just a mother-in-law, more than a relative or a jogging buddy. She had become dear to me or something, someone with whom you can share your most intimate thoughts, without fear of misunderstanding or judgment. And so far this closeness only made me happy. It even inspired me. I felt that I was changing next to Jennifer, becoming softer, more tolerant, learning not to be ashamed of my emotions, to be honest with myself. It's a pity that this joy was fleeting. Oh, what a pity. Finally, the day came, the very charity run for which Jennifer and I had prepared so much. Early in the morning, I picked up my mother-in-law and we headed to the gathering place. On the way, I briefly noted how blooming and enthusiastic her face looked, whether from anticipation of the race or from our unusual friendship. But my mother-in-law was simply glowing with happiness, cheeks flushed, eyes shining, a beauty. I won't be afraid of the word. Stop, Alex, about beauty later. Don't get distracted. You haven't been busting your ass for so many weeks to end up in a ditch on the home stretch. Focus on the main thing, on running. After all, we're here for a good cause. Personal sympathies later, okay? Having mentally scolded myself, I parked the car at the sports ground. Other participants had already gathered around. Some were warming up, some were chatting, greeting acquaintances. Cheerful music was playing, Colorful flags were waving. A real celebration of a healthy lifestyle, damn it. Jennifer and I also joined the crowd, exchanged a couple of routine phrases with other runners. I noticed that we were being followed by surprised looks. No wonder. It's not often you see a middle-aged man in the company of an older woman. They must be wondering who we are to each other. Not mother and son, not a couple from the Over Club. But I couldn't care less about those looks. Let them think what they want. I know the truth. We're just friends. Friends who have a great time together. And today, we're going to kick everyone's asses in this damn race. Well, partner, shall we light it up? Jennifer winked at me when they announced the 5-minute readiness. You bet! I deftly bumped my fist against hers. We'll tear these young and early ones apart like God did the turtle. They'll even envy our athletic rage. My mother-in-law snorted cheerfully and patted me on the shoulder. And suddenly a flock of butterflies fluttered in my stomach at this simple gesture. I suddenly wanted to hug her, to spin her around, to kiss her right here at the start. Okay, that's it, you unfinished Romeo. Get it together. The race is about to start, and you've got all your thoughts in the wrong direction. Jennifer is a friend, you remember? F-R-I-E-N-D. So behave accordingly. That's what I decided. Waiting for the on your marks command, I stood at the line, putting on my most determined expression. This is my day, our day. It's time to show what we're capable of. The starting pistol boomed loudly. The crowd rushed forward, sweeping Jennifer and me along with it. At first we ran shoulder to shoulder, adjusting to the rhythm of the crowd. I kept glancing at my mother-in-law with concern. Was it too hard for her? Would she fall behind? No way. My combat friend was racing like a doe, maneuvering between the runners. She even managed to exchange jokes with some of her acquaintances on the run. Now that's endurance, now that's the spirit. Looking at her, I felt encouraged too. After all, we had trained so much. Are we really going to give up halfway, succumbing to the general turmoil? No way. Where have we not been lost? And we ran, at first leisurely, saving our strength. Then when the bulk of the participants began to give up, we accelerated a little. 3rd kilometer, 5th, 7th. I was already slightly losing the sense of reality, as if the whole world had shrunk to the size of this track, this furious pulse in my temples. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Jennifer running beside me, bright, light, as if weightless. She no longer seemed to me like a mother-in-law, like Laura's mother. No, now she was a muse, a Valkyrie? I don't know what to call her. The one who led me forward, inspired me to feats. And I was ready to perform them, right here and now, to overtake everyone, to be the first to break into the finish line, and to dedicate this victory to her, my incomparable combat friend. Lord, what sentimental nonsense. What muses and Valkyries, Alex? Wake up, you damn romantic. Save the pathos for family celebrations. And now, run, run, and don't think about anything but the finish line. I gritted my teeth and rushed with all my might. Where did the energy come from in the last meters? My heart was pounding like crazy. My lungs were burning with fire. But I didn't slow down until I crossed the cherished line. Yes, I did it. Jennifer finished almost simultaneously with me. She ran into my arms with a running start, laughing happily. We did it, Alex, we did it. Oh God, what a thrill. She looked at me with shining eyes, hugging me around the neck, and I choked on the overwhelming feelings, from the closeness of her heated body, from the pounding pulse under my palms. Damn, she's so beautiful. How intoxicatingly she smells, a mixture of sweat, sun, and wildflowers. It was probably at that moment that I finally and irrevocably lost it. I realized that I was losing my head over this woman, that all our runs, heart-to-heart conversations, playful glances, they weren't just like that. They were leading to something bigger, something real. No matter how I tried to drive these thoughts away, it was useless. I was in over my ears, and I didn't even notice when. And now I have to make a choice, to back down or to take a risk, family or passion, mind or feelings. Damn it, why is everything so complicated? Why can't it be like in the movies? Kiss my mother-in-law at the finish line, spin her around in an embrace, and have the words "the end" with a touching melody in the background. No, Alex, you're not in a fairy tale. You're in a fucking soap opera where any wrong step can cost you your family, career, reputation. So be a good boy. Smile, break the embrace, pat your mother-in-law on the back. Play the role to the end, since you've signed up for this plot. Damn! And when did my life manage to turn into a melodrama? And that's not all. After the finish, Jennifer and I slowly walked towards the parking lot, stopping now and then to exchange a few phrases with fellow runners. I absently nodded, smiled, but my thoughts were far away. In my head, an alarm bell was still ringing. "You're in trouble, Alex." "Oh, you're in trouble with this mother-in-law and not in the right direction." Out of the corner of my eye, I kept glancing at Jennifer. She looked tired, but immensely pleased. Her cheeks were flushed, her hair had come loose from her ponytail, and now framed her face in a picturesque disarray. Lord, how can she be so attractive? Even all sweaty and disheveled, still a beauty. You could take a picture of her for the cover of a glossy magazine. As if sensing my gaze, Jennifer turned around. She measured me with a sly, understanding look, and then suddenly winked and nodded somewhere to the side. "Well, champion, do you want to celebrate our triumph? There's a wonderful cafe nearby. Let's sit down, have some coffee." I froze for a moment. Is she serious right now? After everything that's been sparking between us, she suggests secluding ourselves over a cup of cappuccino? That's pure provocation. Although okay, maybe I'm overthinking it. After all, what's wrong with a coffee break after a tough race? A son-in-law and a mother-in-law have the right to relax, catch their breath in a pleasant environment. Having reassured myself with such reasoning, I readily nodded. "Great idea, Jennifer. Lead the way. I'm all in anticipation." And my mother-in-law led the way. We sat down at a table on the summer terrace of a nice cafe and placed our order. The waiter brought us each a huge mug of steaming latte and a plate of croissants. Delicious," Jennifer mumbled, biting off half the pastry at once. "I love sweets after exercise. It's like I've earned it, you know?" I grunted understandingly. I myself couldn't stand all sorts of diets and restrictions. I believed that if you train in good faith, you have every right to indulge yourself. Without fanaticism, of course, but also without unnecessary self-torture. We slowly sipped our coffee, chatting about the race. We discussed the highlights, the funny finish line faces of the runners. Jennifer gestured animatedly, touching my hand now and then. Those touches made me feel like I was being struck by lightning. I wanted to hold her hand longer, to intertwine our fingers. "Stop! Cut it out, Alex! Again, you're back to your old ways." "No romantic advances," we agreed. "You're a grown man, a family man. Learn to keep yourself in check, damn it." Apparently something like that was reflected on my face, because Jennifer suddenly fell silent in mid-sentence and looked at me intently, almost piercingly, as if trying to read my mind. "Alex, listen," she began, lowering her eyes. "I'm not a fool. I see that something strange has been going on between us lately. These workouts of ours, the conversations. You feel it too, don't you? That we've grown closer?" I broke out in a cold sweat. Damn, is she reading my mind? Or do I have it all written on my forehead? "Okay, Alex, don't panic. Put on an impassive face, say something neutral." "Grown closer? Well, we've become friends, yes, running partners. What's wrong with that?" I squeezed out, carefully pretending to be preoccupied with stirring sugar into my cup. Jennifer sighed heavily. She shook her head as if talking to an uncomprehending child. "Alex, please, let's be honest. What I feel for you is more than friendship, and if you say that you don't feel anything like that yourself, that I'm just a mother-in-law to you, nothing more, damn, I'll just burn with shame." She laughed nervously and hid her face in her hands, and I froze, not knowing what to say. How to react to this sudden confession, damn it? Does she really have a crush on me? No way. Although, come to think of it, all those glances on the sly, smiles, touches, today's passionate embrace at the finish line. Haven't I myself noted 100 times already that Jennifer makes me jolt like an electric shock? "Look, I began with numb lips. "I don't know what to say. I really like you, honestly. And you can see for yourself that there's obviously something sparking between us. But damn it, Jennifer, we're relatives. You're my wife's mother. How can we... I can't... Damn, you know what I mean." My mother-in-law raised her head. She looked at me intently with reddened eyes, and then suddenly leaned forward and covered my hand with hers. "I understand everything, Alex. Really. I'm shocked at myself for even having this conversation." Believe me, I'm not going to ruin your marriage, intrude on your life with Laura, but what's happening between us, it's real too, alive. Haven't you ever wanted to spit on all conventions and just follow your heart? Allow yourself a little madness, huh?" Her eyes were burning with a crazy, almost insane fire. My mouth went dry with excitement and confusion. Damn it, who is she? A temptress? A messenger from heaven designed to test my strength? Whatever it was, right here and now Jennifer was offering me a choice, a step into the unknown, the most risky and reckless act of my life. And you know what? Despite the protests of reason and the call of conscience, I was almost ready to take the plunge. Perhaps I should clarify one thing. I love Laura, my wife. She is sweet, caring, a good mother to our children. We have a strong marriage and complete mutual understanding, in most cases. But, yes, there is this damn but. When I'm with Laura, I don't feel what I feel when I look into Jennifer's eyes. That thrill, that sweet anticipation, that desire to do crazy things. With my wife, I am a pillar of reliability and constancy. With my mother-in-law, I am a reckless adventurer, ready to rush off anywhere. It's mean to Laura, I know. She doesn't deserve a dog of a husband, torn between duty and lust. But no matter how many times I tried to reason with myself, the heart wants what it wants. And now it was pounding like crazy, pushing me to the most reckless decision of my life. "Jen, listen, I began, looking into those burning green eyes across from me, but she interrupted me in mid-sentence. Raising her hand in a warning gesture, she shook her head. "No, Alex, don't say anything. If you say what you want to, then you won't be able to take the words back. Just answer me. Do you want this? Do you really want it to the point of trembling? Just say yes or no." The tension between us seemed thick enough to cut with a knife. I swallowed the viscous saliva, feeling my pulse pounding somewhere in my throat. The answer ready to slip off my tongue was both frightening and intoxicating at the same time. Damn, let it be what it will be. You only live once. "Yes," I finally breathed out. "Yes, damn it. I want it so bad that my blood is boiling. To be honest, I don't even remember the last time I felt anything like this." Jennifer noisily sucked in air. For a moment, she squeezed her eyes shut, as if not believing her ears, and then suddenly jumped to her feet and resolutely held out her hand to me. "Let's go, right now. Just don't think about anything. Just trust me." And I went. I don't know how on stiff legs, but I went. I let myself be led towards the exit. At that moment, I spat on both conscience and propriety. My whole world narrowed down to one single person, the beautiful and vicious Jennifer. How we got to a nearby hotel, I don't remember. I think we caught a cab, muttered something to the driver. There was a sweet fog in my head, full of pink elephants and unicorns. All my vaunted reason had sailed off into the sunset, leaving me alone with my raging hormones. As soon as we crossed the threshold of the room, we pounced on each other like the possessed. We crumpled lips with greedy kisses, feverishly tore off clothes. I think I ripped Jennifer's blouse. To hell with it. I don't care about anything but her naked skin under my fingers. What happened next I remember in snatches. The hot intertwining of bodies on crumpled sheets. A muffled moan turning into a hoarse scream. A convulsive shudder at the peak. It was, damn it, unreal good. That's what. Never before had passion overwhelmed me with such force. Like a tsunami, like the ninth wave, sweeping away all the arguments of reason and justification in its path. Only in the morning, exhausted and emptied, did we finally roll away from each other. We lay in silence for a long time, trying to catch our breath and at least somewhat come to our senses. Reality was slowly seeping through the cracks of euphoria. Gray, boring, but ruthlessly relentless. I squinted at Jennifer, flushed with kiss-swollen lips. I had never seen a more beautiful woman in my life, but even through the sweet languor, a worrying thought crept in. What now? What's next, damn it? I guess my mother-in-law sensed this mental question of mine. She sighed heavily, turning to me. She fumbled for my hand and squeezed it gently. "I know what you're thinking, Alex, and I don't expect anything from you, really. We gave in to an impulse, but nothing serious can happen between us. You have a family, obligations, and I don't want to ruin all that. Let's just enjoy what we have here and now, and afterwards we'll go our separate ways, like ships in the sea. No hard feelings, no claims." Her words made my chest ache. On the one hand, there it was, a ready-made solution, take it and use it. The right adult thing to do. What you need in a situation like this. But some part of me resisted, screaming, "No! I don't want to let this woman go. Not now when we've become so close, so unanimous and kindred or something." Of course, I didn't say that out loud. I just nodded, hiding my eyes. I squeezed her hand back, showing that I accepted the rules of the game. "Yes, you're right. We can't. We have no right to destroy my family, to cause pain to our loved ones. Let's just remember this night as an adventure, a magical sip of freedom amidst the gray, everyday life." Jennifer smiled sadly and nodded. Then she pulled me to her, burying her forehead in my shoulder. We lay like that for a long time, hugging, listening to each other's breathing, saying goodbye to what we never had. And in the morning we went our separate ways, Jennifer to her lonely dwelling, me to my wife and children. As if nothing had happened, no confessions, no mad passion, no searing tenderness, only a dull, dreary pain in my chest, and a scattering of hickeys on my body, but those will fade in a couple of days. But how to deal with the invisible traces left in my soul, I did not know. Yes, Alex, you wanted adventure, thrills, congratulations, take it and sign for it. Now live with it, with the memory of the unfulfilled, the impossible, with the guilt towards Laura, whom you have so meanly betrayed. But you know what? Despite all this gloom and hopelessness, I did not regret what happened. Yes, it was madness, pure selfishness and weakness, but it was worth it, every moment, every breath, because for a brief moment I felt truly alive, open, vulnerable, capable of strong feelings, of risk, of recklessness, all the things I lacked so much in my measured family life. And I am grateful to Jennifer for giving me this revelation. It's a pity that our story is doomed to remain only an episode, a bright flash, an unfulfilled romance buried in the quicksand of everyday life. And for now, it's time for me to return to reality, to the one where I am a model husband, a loving father, a pillar of reliability and constancy. Only now I know, even in the most predictable, measured life, there is always a place for a miracle. The main thing is not to miss it when it knocks on your door. After all, life ultimately consists of such moments, mistakes and twists of fate, meetings that turn everything upside down. And someday, maybe many years from now, Jennifer and I will meet again, there, beyond the edge of existence. And then nothing can separate us. But for now, we keep our secret. A small spark of forbidden happiness in our hearts. Me and the woman who gave me wings. And let the whole world consider us just a son-in-law and a mother-in-law. We know the truth. Did you like this story? Let us know in the comments what you liked. Subscribe to our storytelling podcast. Also, don't forget to like and ring the bell so you don't miss more interesting stories. See you soon.